Happy Monday. It's time for book talks. I tried to do this earlier today and we had a big old fire drill in the middle, so rare take two. Um, I've been reading a lot of things on Reads, as I tend to do. And I've mentioned already, I think earlier I read Homecoming. It's part of the Tillerman Cycle by Cynthia Voigt, and I am working my way through that whole series because every book that I read so far has been super awesome to me. Okay, I've described these books to Miss Corder, and she's thought, why would anyone want to read that? But I'll tell you why. Okay, as you can see, this is number 2 in the series. It's called Dicey's Song by Cynthia Voigt, and you see this shiny gold medal. That is a Newbery Award. That means I'm not the only person that liked this book. Okay, a lot of other people like this book. It won the award for Best Children's Book when it came out. And then number 3, Solitary Blue, shiny silver medal, that's a Newbery Honor. So again, I'm not alone in liking these books. If you go look them up on Goodreads, you'll find lots of good reviews of them. They are in our classics section because they were written in the 80s. Okay, the first ones are in the early 80s and then on. There are 7 books total in the series, and I have recently ordered the entire reissued series with these nice, kind of updated covers. We had a couple of them, but we didn't have all of them, and they were in all different versions, and they were all super, super, super 80s looking, and not in a good way, not in an nostalgic, great way, in an, oh my goodness, this is a terrible cover way. Okay, so hopefully these will be attractive to some of you, and the people that I'm recommending the Tillerman Cycle to are those of you who have liked things like The Outsiders, and I know they're not in a gang, they're not fighting against other people in gangs, but there is a lot of this talk about belonging and family and loyalty, and there is some fighting in the book, but more like the littlest brother goes to school and he's always getting in scraps because people are making fun of his mom because the dad's gone and she wasn't ever married and she's got all these kids. Or in the later books, or the second and third books, they're already with their grandmother and people are talking about the grandmother, about how they think she's crazy or whatever. So he's defending his family's honor, with his fighting at school. And also, there's just kind of a lot of discussion of anger at the situation, anger at people outside of the family or society in general. There is a lot of talk about loss and betrayal and homesickness and feeling left behind, but also finding this sense of belonging and figuring out who you are. If you like books that make you cry, you probably would like these, okay? If you like Lifetime movies, then you would probably like these. If you like stories about families, you would probably like these books, okay? In the first book, Homecoming, the 4 Tillerman children have been abandoned by their mother in the car in a parking lot of a shopping mall, okay? And they have to find their way, or they decide to find their way to an aunt that their mother had written to. And this is like, weeks of walking, okay? Survival on the road. I'm not going to tell you everything about that first book, but it's really pretty impressive what these kids go through to stay together and get where they're trying to go. And in the second book, Dicey's Song, it focuses more closely on the oldest child, Dicey, and her experiences. Kind of, she doesn't have to hold the family together quite as much anymore in the second story, so it's really, she's able to kind of find herself and figure out where she wants to go. There's lots of, I know I say this all the time, there's lots of stuff going on in these books. It's not just about the one character, it's about everybody in the family and what they're going through individually and together, okay? The third book, Solitary Blue, is about a character named Jeff who's introduced in the second book. It is all about his backstory, okay? You step away from the Tillermans for a while. They're still in the book, but they're not the focus of the book. Solitary Blue is mostly about Jeff, who was abandoned by his mother. His mother left when he was 7, just left him a note, hey, you're probably going to be fine, by yourself, but I feel like the world needs me and I need to go off and save the world, and I'm sure you'll be fine, You know how to make hot dogs. You'll be all right. Take care of yourself. And his dad is a kind of an aloof professor who is very closed off, not emotional, and Jeff is just trying to keep everything the same because he doesn't want his dad. He don't want to lose his dad too, and he's kind of afraid that if he doesn't do things exactly the way the professor wants, then he's not going to have his dad either. So there's a whole lot of not really wondering about why the mom left, but kind of figuring out what exactly it means that mom is gone. He does get to go visit her, and there's kind of a lot of this, like, if you've ever been in a situation with an absent parent that you only get to see every once in a while, then you will totally feel his pain, okay? I didn't have an absent parent, but I parented a child who had an absent parent, and man, this was a great description of exactly what I saw her going through every time she would see her mother and then be ripped away from her. It's awful, okay? And I know that sounds terrible to some people, but some people, for me, a lot of times, reading is what we call cathartic, okay? You experience these emotions and then they're gone, okay? You can feel other people's pain and it kind of takes you away. It doesn't always take you away from your own, but you can see it and understand it and empathize with it. And it's for some people, it's a good feeling. Sometimes you feel better after you've had a good cry about somebody else's horrible situation. So if this sounds interesting to you, come and see me, and I will put it in your hand, okay? So that's all I'm going to talk about this time, and we'll see you on Thursday with a tip.